This week on ANN, working to end domestic violence in Romania.
Why a proposal for work-life balance could backfire on religious minorities.
And urban outreach in Italy meets practical needs.
These stories and more coming up.
This is ANN, a service of the Seventh-day Adventist World Church. Thanks so much for joining us this week.
First in the news, a new initiative to end domestic abuse in Romania is asking men to rethink what it means to be a true man. The campaign highlights men who demonstrate loving, respectful behavior, a stark contrast from typical campaigns that portray men as aggressors and use images of abuse to raise awareness of the issue. The Adventist Development and Relief Agency in Romania distributed blue scarves for friends and families to give the true men in their lives. ADRA Romania officials say the positive message is resonating in the country. Several national television networks extended broadcast periods for the True Man spot, and a major health food company advertised the initiative on all its products. The Adventist Church is active in working to end domestic violence in Romania. ADRA Romania runs an emergency shelter where victims of abuse receive accommodation, food, emergency medical assistance, therapy, and legal counsel.
An alliance promoting work-life balance in Europe is reiterating its call for work-free Sundays. The European Sunday Alliance last month launched a pledge asking lawmakers across the continent to promote legislation that guarantees fair work hours and respects Sunday as a day of rest. The alliance says extended work weeks and fewer holidays in parts of Europe are jeopardizing the health, safety, and family lives of employees. But Adventist religious liberty experts in Europe worry how the proposal could affect people who don't observe Sunday as a religious day of rest. They're calling on members of the European Parliament not to propose laws that could discriminate against religious minorities. Some parliamentarians are already speaking out against the proposal. Hannu Takula from Finland says the European Union must guarantee everyone equal rights and freedoms to observe the rest day of their convictions.
The first festival of religious freedom in Mindanao drew thousands of supporters from across South Philippines to Davao City this month. The event was an opportunity to celebrate freedom of belief and recognize public officials who have pledged to protect religious liberty. Organizers held 3 ceremonies in cities across southern Mindanao to thank local mayors for their advocacy. The Adventist Church has held regional festivals of religious freedom since 2009 when it hosted the first World Festival in Peru.
Adventists in Italy last week inaugurated a Life Hope Center at the Adventist Institute of Biblical Studies in Florence. The center offers Christian counseling and includes a guest house, vegetarian restaurant, and library. Organizers say the center is an effort to meet the practical needs of the surrounding community while introducing people to the peace and hope a relationship with Jesus can provide.
Adventist humanitarians in India are supporting efforts to rebuild communities destroyed by the country's worst cyclone in more than a decade. Cyclone Phelan left a trail of flooded roads, fallen trees, and debris when it pounded the eastern coast of India late last year. Since then, the Adventist Development and Relief Agency, or ADRA, has distributed water purification tablets, hygiene kits, temporary shelter, and food. Local Adventist schools and churches served as distribution hubs for the supplies. The humanitarian agency also installed water filtration systems in villages where Cyclone Phelan made landfall. Now, ADRA is distributing cash for work transfers to thousands of beneficiaries affected by the cyclone. Cash for work programs are short-term interventions used by humanitarian agencies to provide temporary employment to people affected by natural disasters. The work often includes public projects such as repairing roads, clearing debris, and rebuilding infrastructure.
An Adventist elementary student is behind a hair-raising fundraiser at Newbold Primary School in the UK. 6th grader Luke Thomas and his classmates came to school sporting crazy hairdos to help raise awareness of diabetes and donations for Diabetes UK, a British-based research charity. Mad Hair Day was part of a 31-day challenge to raise money, and in this case hair, for diabetes research. Luke was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes last year and says he's determined to do everything possible to help find a cure.
And finally in the news this week, Adventist church leaders in Inter-America connected with thousands of ministers last month during the region's first online week of prayer for pastoral families. Church leaders wanted to take the opportunity to thank pastors and their families for caring for the more than 19,000 churches and congregations across the region. They also encouraged pastors to remember to take time to maintain their own spiritual lives and spend time with their families. Some pastors in Inter-America are ministering to as many as 10 congregations each, making work-life balance a challenge.
Coming up, a new way to keep up with Ministry Magazine.
To me personally, the Sabbath is a special day. It means so much more than just spending time with family and friends, but it's a day to serve. Because if we look at Christ's life as our model, that's exactly what he did. He lived to serve, and that's what we seek to do.
We've been doing this now for about 6 to 7 months. And so what we try to do is we go visit each person in their homes, and we talk with them a little bit, socialize, just see how they're doing, fellowship. And then we sing with them, and whatever we pick and whatever songs they may like to hear. The emblem of suffering and shame. And then we have a short devotional. I'll read something, or someone who's leading out will read something from the Bible or from the back of the hymnal, and then we all pray together, and then we separate. We think that we're such a blessing to him, but whenever I see him, I always find that he's been such a blessing to me, because in order to be in that kind of condition and still be happy.
All right. Sing with love, yep.
And still be able to joke around and just be normal, be fun. It's amazing. I mean, it's definitely inspiring to all of us, and I'm happy that you all got to see a little bit of that.
I pray for that when I was studying, my hands got cold, and sometimes God just does it without even having to ask him. When I pray every day, I pray for thank you for giving us food and help other people have shelter and make them not hungry and help them find food and give them a house and all that kind of stuff.
Welcome back. The Adventist Church's International Journal for Pastors is now available in a digital format. Cheryl Beck has more.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Beck, Editorial Specialist for Ministry, the International Journal for Pastors. We at Ministry are excited about our new digital delivery of the journal, just launched in January of this year. Anyone with a paper subscription to Ministry is now eligible to receive a complimentary electronic version as well. This will give you the freedom to take Ministry with you wherever you go. We are already receiving encouraging notes regarding our digital delivery. One reader said, "Thanks so much for including me in this new initiative. Brilliant." Another reader said, "Thank you so much for the Ministry Magazine digital access. I am sure to benefit from this." If you're a current subscriber, sign up by visiting our website, www.ministrymagazine.org. Click on Digital Delivery and follow the instructions to begin receiving your complimentary e-version of the journal. Once you've confirmed your email sign-up of the e-version, make sure to download a free copy of the book, Powerful Biblical Preaching by Pastor Derek Morris. You will find practical pointers from seasoned preachers to help move your preaching ministry to the next level of effectiveness. Sign up today for digital delivery.
Adventist pastor Robert Quintana says a Christian music festival in the U.S. state of Pennsylvania reminded him not to pass up an opportunity to do good.
A few years ago, my wife and I went to Creation Fest. Over 80,000 Christians ascended on Agape Farm in Mount Union, Pennsylvania. We had an amazing week. It was late Saturday afternoon. We were all gearing up for the closing program. We had staked out our place, lawn chair. I had popcorn on my right, cotton candy on the left. I was listening to the speaker when all of a sudden he made an invitation, a call that I'd never heard anyone give before. He looked out into the audience and he said, if anyone here has ever struggled with suicide, has had suicidal thoughts, if anyone here knows of someone that has struggled with suicide, I'd like for you to make your way down to the prayer tent, stage left. You're going to find someone there to pray with you. I was astonished at how many young people were getting up from their places and walking down to the prayer tent. When the speaker saw this, he realized they didn't have enough volunteers to pray with all these young people making their way down to the prayer tent. And so he made a second invitation. He said, if there's anyone out there who's a pastor, a counselor, a volunteer at their church, can you two please make your way down to the prayer tent so that you can pray with these young people? Immediately, a battle ensued in my head. I did not want to go. I had turned my service light off. I just wanted to sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. I had my popcorn, my cotton candy. I didn't want to go anywhere. But there was a voice that I heard that said, Robert, I need you to go down to that prayer tent. I did not want to go. I fought that voice, but again I heard it. Robert, I need you to go down to that prayer tent. It wasn't an audible voice, but it was a voice that was clear. I turned to my wife and I said, Heather, I don't want to go down there. She says, you need to follow your heart. Again, I heard that voice. I need you to go down to the prayer tent. So reluctantly, I got up from my lawn chair. I made my way down to the prayer tent. As I looked around, there were already groups that had formed. There were already people praying. And as I was looking around for someone to pray with, I spotted this group of young girls. And there was someone there that kind of looked like the mom of one of them. I went up to them and I said, do you need someone to pray with? Is there anything I can do to help? They looked at me and they said, yeah, we do. I asked them kind of to break the ice, where are you from? The young girl says, from Frederick. I said, Frederick? Do you mean Frederick, Maryland? She said, yes. I said, I'm the pastor of the Frederick Seventh-day Adventist Church. She says, oh my, that church is just down the street from where I live. I couldn't believe it. As I look back on that day, I realized God didn't lead me to her, but that God had led her to me to teach me, never pass up an opportunity to do good.
Where does the idea of stewardship come from? Penny Brink has the answer on this month's feature from Stewardship Ministries.
I believe today you're going to take us back to our roots.
Yes, stewardship roots, in fact. I'm introducing the latest resource of the Stewardship Ministries Department of the World Adventist Church, and it takes us all the way back to the Garden of Eden.
What does stewardship have to do with the Garden of Eden?
Well, that's where it all began. In Genesis 1 and 2, it's clear that God is the creator and the owner of all, and He has also put us in charge and to take care of everything. That's stewardship in a nutshell.
Where do tithe and offerings fit into this resource?
Well, this book presents a theology of stewardship and of tithe and of free will offerings. The theology of stewardship involves our response to God. The theology of tithe involves God's money in our income, and the theology of free will offerings involves our gratitude to God. All three topics are important, and each one is dealt with in a separate paper in the book.
Who were these papers originally prepared for?
Dr. Angel Rodriguez, the previous director of the Biblical Research Institute of the World Adventist Church, wrote these papers for and in response to a stewardship summit held by the World Adventist Church in 1994 in the state of Georgia in the United States.
In the local church, who would benefit from this kind of resource, and who should read it?
Well, anyone looking for personal spiritual growth, interested in the topic of stewardship or in training, should read this book. The book does lend itself to use in small groups or in training seminars. So stewardship leaders in the local church or small group discussion leaders should take note.
I'm very interested. Where can I obtain a copy of the book?
It's available online at adventiststewardship.com and through Advent Source.
Navy Chaplain Washington Johnson says chaplaincy allows him to serve the beliefs of others without compromising his own faith. He has this month's look at chaplaincy ministries.
The presence of so many different religions in our society can appear overwhelming. In some cases, it can lead to turf wars, especially when trying to acknowledge the respective religious practices and holidays. Though potentially challenging, pluralism allows for a peaceful coexistence among multiple faiths. Pluralism basically promotes a positive attitude regarding the diversity, beliefs, and expressions of other religious groups. As a Christian, we are called to be God's witnesses wherever we find ourselves. This means that we must have an open mind and respect for all religions without feelings of superiority. Acts Chapter 1, verse 8 records the promise Jesus gave to his disciples before his ascension. But you shall receive power after the Holy Spirit has come upon you, and you shall be witnesses unto me both in Jerusalem and in all Judea and in Samaria and unto all the earth. As witnesses, we build bridges that unify the common threads of our religious beliefs. Military chaplains carry out similar work in that they are responsible for providing religious services to soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, regardless of the respective religious denomination. This practice represents religious pluralism, which is an essential element of constitutional religious freedom. Religious pluralism in its truest form is mutual respect for other faith groups. This is also true of chaplains providing care in other areas such as healthcare, correctional, campus, and community organizations. The goal is to support all religious groups without compromise to one's own personal faith. If a chaplain is asked to provide or facilitate a religious service requested by a Christian, Buddhist, Jewish, or Muslim individual that conflicts with his or her core beliefs, he or she should look for a colleague that is able to conduct the service with both knowledge and comfort. Finally, as a Navy chaplain, it's an honor to serve both God and country while respecting the beliefs of others and without compromising my own faith.
Still ahead, building an education and evangelism center in Panama.
But up next, the church's official television network invites viewers to embrace a new life.
A child wondering where her next meal will come from. A woman without a home, forced to sleep in the street. A forgotten grandparent with no familiar face to brighten their day. A family unable to care for their everyday needs. People that we pass every day but have stopped seeing. It's a human problem. Today or 2,000 years ago, in Uganda or America, China or Brazil. Instead of passing by, what would happen if we, Seventh-day Adventist youth, stopped and helped? If each of us in our own corner of the world reached out to those in need and made a difference in being the hands and feet of Jesus. On Sabbath, March 16th, 2013, we tried an experiment. Instead of going to church, we, the Adventist youth, went out and lived the sermon. In our towns, in our countries, in our world. In 24 hours, 8 million youth made an impact in others' lives, bringing the gospel to our communities through acts of kindness. This year, we can do more. We spend most of our Sabbath studying what it means to be followers of Christ. It's time to take one Sabbath and live out the sermon. This year, we can touch a life. We can transform a community. We can change the world.
A new television evangelism series is introducing people in India to the new life they can have in Jesus. Hope Channel sent this report.
If you Google Ongole, a coastal city in India, you'll quickly learn that it's famous for a breed of cow. The Ongole bull has made its mark in many parts of the world. But this month, the city of Ongole is making the headlines about something very different. A large open field was turned into a stadium with seating for more than 4,000. Here, for 9 straight nights, people have been coming to listen to Hope Channel India's New Life series. Preparations for these meetings began 3 months ago when 75 pastors began visiting families in the 25 neighboring villages. Every evening when the floodlights came on and the singing began, truckloads of people who had already heard about Jesus from those 75 pastors filled the seats. They brought with them family and friends as well. The meetings in Ongole are being translated into 5 other Indian languages and will be broadcast into 12 cities for thousands more to hear about the new life they can have in Jesus. For Hope Channel, I'm Carmen McMurdy.
The Adventist supporting ministry Maranatha Volunteers International builds urgently needed churches and schools worldwide. Maranatha sent this report about recent projects in Central America.
In the beginning of 2014, Maranatha celebrated the completion of 2 large schools in Latin America. 9 months after volunteers with San Gabriel Adventist Academy laid the first block, the Maranatha Education and Evangelism Center in Santiago, Panama, is now complete. 249 volunteers helped to build this school, and classes are scheduled to begin on February 24. The campus, which has multiple classrooms and a central auditorium, will serve elementary students in the morning shift and junior high students in the afternoon. Also recently completed is a school complex in Ambato, Ecuador. This campus includes a large education and evangelism center, as well as 15 one-day school buildings. This beautiful school will soon be bustling with the happy sounds of hundreds of children. 460 Maranatha volunteers visited Ecuador to help build this school campus. The Ambato School serves as a capstone for Maranatha's projects in Ecuador. Since Maranatha started working in the country in 2007, a total of 194 churches and 10 school campuses have been completed. To learn more about Maranatha's work around the world, visit Maranatha's website at maranatha.org.
Now let's turn to Benjamin Baker for a look at Adventist history. This week, early church outreach in Kenya impacts the grandfather of U.S. President Barack Obama.
Thanks for joining us. During This Week in 1909, A.A. Carscallon reported his progress spreading the gospel in Kenya to Adventist Review readers. Writing of the considerable challenges he faced, in 7 words, he stated his reason for leaving America to pioneer the work in Kenya. The real need here is the gospel. Born in Ontario, Canada in 1879, Arthur Asa Carscallon was baptized into the Adventist Church at 20, and upon receiving ministerial training at Union and Newbold, accepted a call to start the work in Kenya. With his new bride, Helen Thompson, and a Malawian named Peter Nyambo, his classmate at Newbold, the 3 left for East Africa in late 1906. Carscallon was the superintendent of the British East Africa Mission for 13 years. During that time, he, Helen, and Nyambo were instrumental in establishing numerous mission stations, health clinics, schools, printing presses, and churches throughout the region. Impressively, Carscallon mastered the Luo language, becoming the first to write it. He published the only grammar textbook and dictionary in the Luo tongue at the time, and translated portions of the New Testament. One individual Carscallon won to Adventism was Onyango Obama from Kendu Bay on the shore of Lake Victoria. 9 years old at the time the Carscallons arrived, Onyango attended Adventist boarding school, and later much of his family followed his lead and became Seventh-day Adventist Christians. To this day, many of the Obama family members are Seventh-day Adventists. By the way, Onyango Obama was the grandfather of the 44th President of the United States of America, Barack Obama. And that was This Week in Adventist History.
Thanks for watching ANN. Join us next week for more news from the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
In the meantime, find us on Facebook. You can connect with other Adventists worldwide and find links to more stories, photos, and videos. Just visit Facebook/Adventist News.
Our good news for this week comes from Psalms chapter 42, verse 11. The passage says, "Why, my soul, are you downcast? Why so disturbed within me? Put your hope in God, for I will yet praise Him, my Savior and my God."
That's our program for this week, and remember, you can always visit news.adventist.org for daily news and videos. Until next time, God bless.
Take care.